Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Hello friends, today we will discuss about the web fundamentals on an application designing. For this, we will introduce the HTTP as our markup language and the protocol that we will use. And next we will discuss about the server and the sessions that has got different types of layer to it. Web fundamentals are the fundamentals of the internet on the application designing. When we talk about web, that means we are actually using the internet for any of the search engines or any of the other uses that the www provides. Now, while you use an uniform recess locator, that means the URL, that means it is identifying a particular that in which web service you are referring to. Say suppose we have an URL like this. Now this is a URL because it is uniquely identifying a particular resource on web service. That means a site or a collection of web pages. So the URL here consisting of the first part HTTP, next within colon and slash, that is the specification or the separation, next the site name to which it belongs, and next by separated within slash the particular page name on the site. So the first part that it goes with, we will discuss it later. First with this one, that is the site or the basic resource to our web search. So that means it is the site name www.sem.org, where each part belongs to the domain and org specifies that it is an organization. Now, if we are giving a space or the slash after that, that means we are actually going to the particular page on this. That means we are going to the Sigmod page. If there is another page inside the Sigmod page, we could have included in by giving the slash and then giving the page name. So when we are using this, we can say that for a particular login page that I want to go for the site. So we can directly write login here to the login page and fetch the login data result. Now let's go to this one, HTTP, that is a hypertext transfer protocol. The HTTP is generally related with the TCP, that is a transfer control protocol, and HTTP is generally regarded as the texting form or the protocol rules for the English language to the resource level or the computer level language. That means all the transfer control protocol, transferring data from uploading it, downloading it, all are handled by this HTTP. Now the HTTP uses the HTML, that is known as a hypertext markup language. So for the application designing purpose, we often use HTML, XML, CSS like this. We will discuss HTML today because it is a basic idea behind every other designing language for the web application. Now when we talk about web application, there can be two types. One is static, that the website has been made and there is no way to change it. Another is a dynamic, that often get fetch on the data or update with the data, feed with the data and give us another result. So we can do this two of this way of designing an application with either a static or a dynamic with the help of HTML. First, let's look for the basic of HTML and how we can form a basic tab inside an HTML. That is a table on HTML. We can write it in any of the notepad and save the code or the programming with the extension .htm. When we save it with .htm, it becomes a web extension to the HTML part. To start HTML coding, we should write the code keyword HTML inside this arrowed brackets so that we are indicating that we are actually starting an HTML code. After that, if there is any heading, then we can put it with the head tag. We are not using it here. And there are generally two types of tags in HTML. First one is an open tag, next is a close tag. When we talk about open tag, that we name the tag only once, like the starting of the use on the tag. But if we are talking about closed tag, like this HTML tag, we are mentioning that the tag should be closed after having all the information inside the tag body. Now, if there is anything that we can want to make as a heading to our page, we could have used the head tag. Like for here, we can use the head tag to give the heading as our first table. And as it is a closed tag, we should close the tag with this line. See, we have used the head in caps, also the head in small. So HTML is not case sensitive and we could use the small letter as well as the capital letter. Now to start the HTML body, that means the body of the page, we should write the keyword body, that is also a closed tag. Now as our first example is to create a table, we need the tag table. So often there are some attributes that we can add with a tag to define and to make it more attractive or acceptable to the user. So we can use the table tag and followed by some of the attributes like the border, width, height, space to it. Here I am using as a very initial one, or the border. So if I am not mentioning any border, so it will take the default border for the table. Or we can take the border equals to 5, border equals to 10 to actually lighten or brighten the border. To start a table row, we should write the keyword tr, because the first row, then the second row, the table insertion like this. And if it is the heading or the row name or the particular attribute name for the first row, then we should use the th, that is the table header. See, I have used 3 attributes here: the ID enclosed with th tag, the name enclosed with th tag, as well as the department enclosed with th tag. So my first row has finished. Now I need to close my tr tag. Now to have a data as a part of my table, I should introduce with a td tag inside the tr tag. So to put the actual values, we should use the td or table data tag. We will insert 2 rows here. Now that we have finished all the rows, we should close the table tag. After that, our body has finished with body tag. And finally, the HTML tag. Now see, for every data that I have put, I have used not in the braces, but only like after the braces has closed and been started. So the result will look like a table with a border with the names like this. Now let's look at this table, that we have formed all the data into this one and then get this table as a result. Now that we have put the ID, name and department, I have included is another ink so that the heading is different from each other. Other than that, when you see it in a web page, then we can see that it is same like the previous one. Now we will go to the more advanced features like the form. So we will move to the HTML form. Now to start a form, we should use the keyword form. And just like the table, we will include the attributes of the form. So now we have included form as our keyword. Now the first attribute that we will include is the action. So the action is the first action that will happen on that form. Say if it is in a login page, so we can gauge the login, or if it is that we are wanting an information based on a query, so we can give the name of the query. Here I want to fetch a person name and according to its information, so I am naming it as person query. Now next is the method. See, we can get the information out of form or we can even post something to our website. So the method can be get or post. Here I want an information on a person, so I will use the get method. So that are the attributes of a form. Now we will do that what is the body of the form. Now we are using the word search for. We will see the final output and look for that how it is designed. So search for either student or instructor. So that can be an option that either student or instructor can be selected from them. So we need to select the value from a table. Now we should use an SQL parameter query inside this braces, that is a SQL part of the HTML. So we should select it from a table. Now I am giving it is a combined key that will consist a list as well as an option value or a record button to it. That means the radio button will go for the name person type. That means the select, or for the combination box, it has got the name person type. See, the name we are specifying in an HTML that the user cannot see. It is for the designing purpose. So we are mentioning the name person type. Now the options that we need to put with the option key tag. So the option tag is followed by the attribute value first equals to student, which will be selected for this case. Then that will be displayed in the form, that is student, and followed by the option close. Now we will need to add another option, that is instructor. Now that I have given two options to our combo box, next is the name that the user will type. So I will use an input box or a text box. So I should use the right name. Now after the name, the space for inputting the name. So I will use a text box here. Now see, I have used input box with a type text to it and a size 20 to it. That means maximum 20 characters will be inputted in this box with the name of this input box as name. Now we need to input another box whose type will be submit. That means I want to submit and give the value uploaded into the database. Now that this is the basic form that we will use, we will close the form, close the body and close the HTML tag. See here, input is an open tag that we have used. We haven't closed the input tag. There is no need to close it. Now that I am using the form, and it would look like this. The search for keyword will be appear here. After that, the student combo box which has a down arrow sign so that we can choose among the student and instructor with the student selected. That means we have means selected, the student will appear in the first. After that, the word name will appearing here and followed by a text box to get input from the user and followed by a submit button to actually get the submitting of the user. Now suppose we are putting this URL in our web bar. So now this URL looks like that www.google.com. So it will directly go to this other than going to any form on the web browser. Then look for question means that we are actually. Now the web search will directly go to google.com and after that it will search for the keyword Asim here. Now if I want to use this as a URL part of solving this form, then we could have used an argument to give in an URL search. So the URL here is giving the actual source and particularly a resource argument to finally search in that of that particular server. So now that we have searched a site and this argument will be put to it, that if there is any queue, or suppose here we could write name equals to Mike, that means it will directly go for Mike in this result. So in this way we can actually handle our HTML to apply an application or designing of the application on a web. Now apart from HTML, we should know about the web servers. When we talk about the web server and its application, web server is the one that actually get information from the user, compute or calculate on it and get an HTML result data to the user. So it is not just transferring the protocol or using the HTTP by data documenting or part of the user one. It actually handles a more logical level than this one. It first fetches the data from the user, then use it to the web server back from this website and then make it the search for the website, give back to the result to the website, and for each of this level it needs a huge amount of task that is associated with the web server. Now when the web server is associated, there can be two layers or two approaches to it. The two-layer approach and the three-layer approach. First we will discuss about the three-layer approach. Now when we talk about a three-layer approach, we should introduce with the term Common Get Interface or CGI. That means we are more getting a particular get that is a router or a part of the switch or hub that can connect more networks to our outer network. So suppose there are a number of LANs that could be connected to another number of LANs within this common get. So if this interface is applied in our application development design, so it will be known as a common get interfaces. Now, how the actual machine is implemented with the three-level architecture. So suppose this is the browser that we are using. It could be Chrome, it could be Mozilla or any other one, the electronic one. Now, the browser directly deals with the HTTP. So HTTP deals with browser to connect to the network. Now the network connects to the web server back there to have a three-layer on which the web server will work. So first the web server will knock the application server that if there exists a proper application to solve the query of the web browser. So the web server is the initial level. Now from the web server, we have the application server to deal with our data. Now that we have reached the application server, now it will look for some database server who can be deal with the actual data or the values that is being fetched with this browser from some user. So now the database server will deal with the data that the browser has fetched or have inputted. Now the server will give back the result to the network, and the network will give back in HTML form the result to the browser. Now let's look that when the browser is handling, it is all about the HTML or the other sites, that the CSS or XML. Now that we have got back our result into the browser, so the user can use the data for its meaningful purpose. Now it is the three-layer architecture, because the web server deals with the app server, which is a different server than the web server, which in turn deals with the database server. Now for the two-layer architecture, the same goes with a web and application server. So now the browser will fetch the data to the network, and that will fetch the data to the server. So as in the initial server, we have our web and application server. Now the web and application server, that means they have got all the responsibilities of the web server as well as the application server. See, it is design-wise seamless than the other one, but as the responsibilities grew more, so there will be more expense on it, and obviously there will be more computational time to it. Now it will directly deal with the database server, which in turn deals with actual data and get back the result to the browser. Now that is about the web server. Next, let's move to the next portion, that is a session. When we talk about session, that means, say when we are logging to your social network account and when you log out from it. So from the login to the logout, that portion is known as a session. It is often done with an economic transaction, like for buying some things from internet, doing a banking transaction, that you have given a particular session of 3 minutes or 2 minutes for your payment page. That means after the page, you will be logged out from this particular web page and going back to the previous page. So that is known as a session. For the time being, the web page is active. Now when we talk about session, it could be connectionless, it could be connection oriented. When there is a connection oriented session, that means the two ends of the session, that the user end and the communicator end. So the two ends must confirm to that they are connected to each other. That means first the sender will send the information on the session, and if it is connected with the user, then only it will be received by the user end. But if it is a connectionless, then without checking that if it is the connected with the user, the server will send the information and whether getting any feedback from the user that it has been received or not. So in that way, the server could be connected with the user in a connection or connectionless way to make a session. Well, connection-oriented sessions are always give better security and better reliability than the connectionless, because in connectionless, we do not know that when the connection is lost among the user and the server. So that is all for the web fundamental designing on an application for the HTML through the HTTP as well as through the server and the sessions. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned with Ikira and subscribe to Ikira.